There actually, there is 13285. But the 3285 is the designation. What I'm looking for is the actual application. And that's how I landed 3307. Thank you. Are you at file 83307?
Correct, Counsel.
Now, I understood your testimony on Thursday, in summary, to be Advocate Ramsamy. You handed the Section 27 to Advocate Ramsamy. She considers the affidavit together with the legal provisions. She then arrives at certain conclusions and she drafts a Section 2813 application and submits to you for consideration and approval. Am I on the right track there?
That is correct.
So I see at 3307, it's one such, it's addressed to you. And it says Advocate Santos Manilao and Advocate Ramsamy. It's dated the 5th of December 2024. This is in relation to the list of 12, and that is at 3309. And while we are here, Advocate, I've resisted the temptation, but I think I succumb. The person at 3.12, automotive engineer, who's that? Is an automotive name? Do you have any idea?
No, Chair. These were the names that, when I checked with Advocate Ramsamy, she said they were on that. They were on a paper that were furnished after Mr. Perumal had spoken to Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Yes.
So, at the risk of asking a stupid question, automotive engineer has got an ID number. Is that somebody we can search for at Home Affairs?
It should be an entity that could be found.
An entity?
Yes, ma'am.
But it says engineer, suggesting a person.
It's an entity, from how I understand it.
All right. I'm interested in 313, though. It says any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but which may become known during the investigation. You recall we started with Section 27th affidavit, which identified the first three names. We established that Mr. Perumal, through you suggested Mr. Perumal added the rest of the names, having consulted with Mr. Adams. But then it goes, so that's broadening it. But 313 goes even broader, considering the purpose for which you would be issuing a Section 28 investigating. That there should be a limit to powers that are granted. 313 could very well discover my name in there and I become subjected to this investigation. Is that proper, though? Because it's a limitless power and authorization here.
Counsel, it's not limitless because it relates to any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but are limited in which may become known during the course of this investigation.
Yes.
Yes.
But it doesn't go further to say that they are implicated in whatever crime is being investigated.
No.
It's just the names being known, and suddenly there's authorization to go investigate them as well.
It doesn't of necessity mean that they are investigated. Any and all individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but which may become known during the course of the investigation. Once those details come through, investigators are able to determine whether those are persons of interest to be investigated or those are persons whose names have come up and are potential witnesses.
So technically, it's left to then the investigators. If they like me, they come across my name, they don't have to investigate. But if they don't like me, then they investigate. Do you understand my challenge? Because I think too much power resides and discretion resides with them. And that somehow has the potential to undermine the system. Doesn't it?
I take your point, but that shouldn't be done.
Okay.
That is not what the purpose of this insertion is. And it was also for practical reasons. You've got the authorization, you're conducting investigations, names come up, and the names can be either or. So if it is persons who would fall into the category of suspects or persons of interest, then you'd have to come back for an amendment. Yes. And so you are able to then deal with the investigation without the to and fro of the. I do take the point.
Okay.
And perhaps it could be couched somewhat differently, but this is what we have used over the time.
But isn't it a necessary control mechanism that what has been justified to you are the specific names? So you were given these names. There must have been justification to you. We had the earlier discussion about you satisfying yourself that there is a basis to include these specific names. And if that is your system, then paragraph 3.13 should not be there because it means people will be included without it being justified to you who gave the authority. You understand the point I'm making?
I understand.
So 3.13 is very much open to abuse if you're not controlling it, if they don't come back to you to justify. And what you are saying to us now is you gave them that latitude to justify just from 3.1 up to 3.12, but then beyond that, you gave them latitude to justify that, and you were satisfied that there is merit in having 3.1 up to 3.12 to be investigated. But then what you go on to do then in 3.13, and you say to us that's how IDAC has always operated, is you then leave it to them to then determine as they go along to investigate without having to justify to you, which defeats the very purpose of justification to you in the first place. So my suggestion would be, if that's how you were operating, then you may as well just have at 3.13. They come and they tell you, we are going to investigate anyone that may be implicated, because that's the effect of 313. It allows anyone that Colonel Padeachi gets their name, you know, if Mr. Adams had said, Mr. Bodlani, that's all that would have happened. He would have gone and investigated him under 3.13 without coming to you as the repository of the authority to authorize investigations into individuals, without coming to you to say, here's my justification for investigating him.
It was not the intention, but I do take
But it is the effect.
It in all likelihood is the effect, and I take the point. And just for reassurance, Mr. Bodlani is not in 3.13.
Yeah, we don't know who else Mr. Colonel Padeachi included in there, but he may well, and you have no control over that. You have no way of knowing. And I say Colonel Padeachi not to target him specifically, all your investigators. They may well be conducting investigations of individuals that are not authorized by you and that may possibly not be related to a subject matter with that kind of provision.
The point is taken, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We were still with that application. I see if we go to page 3311.
Sorry, Ms. Sello, maybe before you go
Yes.
there, let me ask my question before I forget. You say at 3310 under
zero in on the relevant documents. What do you suggest? What conclusions do you suggest the commission must draw if a reading of those A1 statements, together with the Section 27 referral affidavit, do not support the summons in the terms as reflected?
And in the absence of anything else before the date of the issue of the summons.
Just pause there. What else would there have been? Because so far we have understood that the summons arise from the Section 27, read with the dockets in Orlando and Cape Town, the A1s, and read with the supplementary affidavits by Mr. Adams. That's all we have. Is there anything we have missed? And
No, I think that the point I was trying to make, Council, is we just need to check that there isn't anything else before the 6th of February other than the 27 and the additional statements. Okay. What I'm trying to get to, is I don't know whether he attached anything else. Was it just the A1? But that is all.
Yes.
I expect would have been there.
On that point, what could potentially be there? What should we be looking out for?
The only thing that could potentially be there is if he, over and beyond the additional A1, attached documents in support of. That could be the only thing, which might then talk to, but that would be the only other thing.
Now we've settled the documents that we should look to try and understand the basis, the legal basis for the Section 28 summons. My question to you was, what would your advice to the commissioners be as regards how they view this Section 28 summons in circumstances where all the documents that you have listed, we have just discussed, do not factually or legally support this Section 28? What would your advice to them be?
Then the investigation is problematic. Whatever follows is problematic.
And what do you say about its legal validity and everything that arises therefrom?
Short of a proper detailed explanation from the investigators, and if an explanation is given and one that is not accepted by the commission, then that investigation falls away. It has to be a legitimate investigation. It has to be supported by documentation. That is the basis, Chair and Commissioners, on which IDAC has worked on all its other matters. This matter cannot be an exception. And so what I'm saying is, if we find that there is in fact an exception which ought not to be there, then it must be explained by those who did it, but then it goes back to, so what do you do with it now?
Now, that is relevant, I think earlier you indicated, that is relevant to docket number 453, is that, or /06/2025. The docket you said is still under investigation, the docket in which J50 was issued for the arrest of General Khumalo, I think, and General Madondo, but which arrest warrant was then suspended. This is where that investigation, that is the matter that this investigation results in. That is about manipulation of their own security clearances, am I correct?
That is what I understand, yes.
So, where then we are, as you have testified.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Can I just understand? The manipulation of their own security clearances is the allegation, and I'm just trying to understand your answer, is the allegation that they...
Andrea Johnson.
Good morning, Commissioner.
If you look at 937 and The offenses listed there, it is fraud and corruption in the bullet points, you see that?
I see that, Commissioner.
Yes, and then you go to Annexure B. Let's just focus on Major General Lushaba, for example. For the rank of Colonel, Brigadier, and Major General, was there Section 27 referral to IDAC suggesting that their vetting and clearances were tainted with fraud and corruption? Just focusing only on Major General Lushaba. Was there such a 27 referral suggesting that their vetting and clearances were tainted with fraud and corruption?
It was the generalized Section 27, Commissioner Khumalo, of Adams, of November, and we just need to check in the additional A1s that were taken, if they were expanded on in those A1s. But there was a generalized Section 27 referral.
Because my recollection of the Section 27 is that he was saying all the colonels in crime intelligence are not suitable. I don't remember seeing anywhere in that Section 27 where he says their security clearances and their vetting were tainted with fraud and corruption.
I would just have to...
If you go to file 2, page 512, CJC 373, that is the Section 27 affidavit by Mr. Adams.
Sorry, Counsel, the page reference?
512.
It starts on 512. If you look at paragraph 4 on 513, that is the general statement that is made. And it starts with the manipulation of procurement processes. And it lists the civilian who worked for BMW. And then the paragraph after that says it is concerning that out of all the colonels employed in crime intelligence, none of them were suitable to be appointed to this post. But I don't recall seeing in the referral anywhere where it says Major General Lushaba's vetting and clearance is tainted with fraud and corruption.
Sorry, Chair, if you just grant me a moment. Yes, yeah, correct, Commissioner Khumalo, that he just refers to processes to appoint and promote certain members.
So it is the Mokwele issue where the vetting is a problem. And then reference to Lushaba is in paragraph 6 on 514, is the issue of the housebreaking and the laptop.
That is correct.
But there is no referral relating to their vetting or their security clearance being tainted with fraud and corruption. So if that is so, would there be a legal basis for then investigating their vetting and security clearances at all 4 levels, or at 3, at the level of a colonel, brigadier, and major general?
Chair, it would depend on what else they did have access to at the time, because they would have had to have access to the additional A1 statements that were taken, and not just this. So I would be remiss if I say no. Because this is done, Chair, in February of 2025. By that stage, they would have had the engagements with Adams, and in terms of those additional statements, I'm not sure that additional documents were provided, but they would have had a twofold basis upon which.
But as I understand it, the substance of what Commissioner Khumalo is raising with you is this. If this was never referred in terms of the affidavit, how do we suddenly have it here? The fact that the investigators may have come across some information at a later stage cannot cure the lack of a referral in the first instance. I thought that's the substance of the question.
Correct. Yes. And so we would just have to look at the additional A1, and because the additional A1 is supposed to talk to the Section 27, if it is not there, then it doesn't talk to.
So even if the information is subsequently obtained and is contained somewhere, it means nothing if there was no referral in the first place, or not?
Unless there was other evidence before the issue of the summons.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay.
Thank you, commissioners. So, when we do look at file 9, which is where the additional statements are by Mr. Adams, what do you suggest what conclusions do you suggest the commission must draw if this section 28 is not supported in its terms? For that purpose, I would like you to have before you file 3. And at file 3, I would like us to go to page 936. This is a Section 28 summons issued and signed by you on the 6th of February 2025. The questions I'll be posing on this document could potentially be part answered by the A1 statements you received, that you've provided in terms of the letter, all A1 statements issued by Mr. Adams.
Okay.
Could potentially be, but like I say, still have to consider the content. You, I assume, would have cast your eye on the A1 statements and are able to confirm whether or not the A1 statements provided lend us to where this Section 28 summons is. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
My view is that summons will only make sense if buttressed by a compliant Section 27, supplementary statements, and any other information available to the investigators as at the 6th of February to issue that summons. Would that be a logical?
It follows.
Thank you. Now, this document, the summons, if you go over leaf at 937, just above a signature there, above your name, which I think it's your signature, you do confirm.
Yes, ma'am.
The details of the matter are are said to be as follows, I quote, "This investigation pertains to manipulation of security vetting processes which resulted in the unlawful issuing of security clearances in favor of personnel within the Division Crime Intelligence of the South African Service." End quote.
I see that.
At the time you signed these summons, what evidence did you have, as by you, of course, I mean collectively the institution IDAC, what evidence did IDAC have to even conclude that there had been manipulation of security vetting processes and unlawful issuing of security clearances in favor of anyone within crime intelligence?
According to me, it would have had to have been the Section 27 referral, and it would have had to have been the supplementary affidavits that had been taken in January of 2025.
And as we established last week, we know that our Section 27 only expresses a suspicion
Correct.
of the commission of this crime without any underlying facts to support such a suspicion. So the answer then must lie in the subsequent supplementaries that we were received.
Correct.
My question then is, what must the commission do if it lands at a position where the supplementary statements do not support a claim such as reflected here? That on reading both the Section 27 and the relevant supplementary statement, one cannot reasonably conclude that a crime such as reflected here has even been committed or contemplated.
So if it's not made out in the supplementary, because that is what the supplementary sought to do, then these become problematic,
Yes.
because one would have to go back to those A1s
Yes.
and see what was said for them to have compiled to ask for this information.
And then if we go over leaf at 938, and your summons does say the detail is contained in your annexure B, and that is at 938, there is that list of 7. And this summons effectively asks for complete applications for security clearances and vetting files for the officers listed therein, starting with General Khumalo, in respect of all the ranks he's held, starting with the Brigadier, Major General, and Lieutenant General. And the pattern repeats itself. Now, as we had this discussion last week, one can understand perhaps how General Khumalo is identified. I think he's mentioned by name in the Section 27 referral. So is General Lushaba and General Madondo. At this juncture in February, again, we have that problem of names that do not appear from documentation that IDAC has at the moment it takes this drastic step, appearing in such documents as these summonses. I know you've signed, and I take it you signed because you are the head of the institution, but the document, the summons would have been drafted for you.
Correct.
Who would have drafted these summons?
These would have been drafted by an investigator. It could have been Mr. Perumal or Mr. Padiachi,
Okay.
and or perhaps Mr. Mansa.
Mr.?
Mansa, M-A-N-T-S-H-A.
Oh, Mansa.
As being those, as being some of the investigators at the time.
Now,
Sorry,
yes.
at the bottom, sorry, Chair, at the bottom of 936, It does say at the bottom, there was also one of the investigators assigned was Investigator Mlambo. So the inquiries to Senior Investigator Mlambo at the bottom of 936.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes,
At where it indicates to whom inquiries must be addressed.
yes.
Okay. So he also could potentially be one. Now, we have since come to learn that Brigadier Ngube at item 1.4 was involved in the panel that recommended the appointment. Chair, apologies.
Oh, yeah. May I just refer to the part just above your signature at 937? That's the part headed details of the matter or other information. Was that meant to capture what was to be investigated? Or why is that included there?
Chair, they include it in there so as not to have a generalized subpoena. Because if you issue it only with the introduction and the background, and then you on 938 just have a list of requests, it must relate to something. So when it's put in there, that is what the investigators reflect.
So am I correct to say it was meant to set out what's intended to be investigated?
That is correct.
Oh, okay. For the future, perhaps, for those who will be at IDAC, because the way it's captured, it says this investigation pertains to manipulation of security vetting processes, which resulted in the unlawful issuing of security clearances. It appears to be stating a fact instead of saying...
An allegation of
Yes. It's stating a fact as it is currently stated or set out there.
The point is noted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Staying then with this list, as I said, we've come to learn that Brigadier Ngube was part of the panel that interviewed and recommended Brigadier Mokwele for appointment. I think I've been making a mistake, which I would like to take opportunity to correct. 1.5, the Van Vuren referred to here, is a crime intelligence officer already within crime intelligence. It's not the Van Vuren that applied for the job with Mrs. Mokwele. So at some point I thought I'd concluded that it was one of the applicants, but judging by information on some other documents here, I think I'm wrong in that regard, and I'd like to take this opportunity to correct my error. You then have Brigadier Mokwele. The one name I haven't come across in this investigation is Brigadier D. Bobby. Do you know who that is and how she gets to be included in this list?
It could be that it is not a person who is being investigated, but a person to provide the documents having the... No, I haven't come across Bobby because they read exactly the same as the other. Sorry, yes, it reads the same.
Now, as I had suggested to you, it's likely, as you say, either Mr. Perumal, Mr. Padiechu, Mr. Mancha, or Mr. Mlambo prepared this. What do you, as the ID, normally have before you to ensure that the summons that you authorize is supported by some level of evidence that entitle you, as IDAC, to investigate, in this case, these crime intelligence officers to this extent? Do you just take their word for it? Do they prepare a document for you? Do you have an opportunity to glance the inquiry file to account for each name that is listed here?
What ordinarily happens, Chair, is that the person who issues or drafts the summons would come and brief the ID on, we need to issue a summons to this person. Part of the investigation relates to the manipulation of the security vetting. And in our investigation, we have identified what is required and from whom.
So, if I understand you correctly, when we do get that investigation file, we will have a clear understanding of the basis on which these officers were selected to be included in the summons, each one of them in turn.
It should.
Okay, because you say it should, you force me to run ahead, and if it doesn't? If
Then
when we do receive the file, we find that there is no basis for what is contained in Annex B against these officers, what does that mean for IDAC and the Commission and the law?
Well, first of all, IDAC would have to, the person who compiled the summons would have to indicate where they've got this from, if it's not in the file, and what was the base document upon which these names were extracted and or identified.
It can't.
And the basis.
Continue.
Sorry, the basis on which